Storyteller. He is an improviser in Chicago as well as a storyteller. He plays on I.O. with a team called Devil's Daughter, which sounds really naughty in my personal opinion. He also is doing a podcast called What Am I Missing? That you guys can catch every Thursday at Playground at 10 p.m. Everybody give it up for Ben Harpe!
I celebrated my 21st birthday my senior year of college with a party at my first off-campus house, in a room that was advertised to us by the landlord as the bonus room, as if it were some sort of revocable perk he offered us because he liked us, not a physically attached floor of the house that can be readily accessed by staircase. It was early in the year, and the party was a reunion of sorts, the first big house party of the school year, an iPod playing Remixed to Ignition, This Year by the Mountain Goats, and T-Pain's Apple Bottom Jeans. We danced, we drank, we ordered pizza, the Golden College Triumvirate. My roommate Alex collected cash for pizza, but I begrudgingly had to pass. Not indeed because I was out of money, though I was, or because I was trying to eat healthier, though I should have been, but because not too long before I had declared myself a vegan. The school I went to was very liberal, a private liberal arts school in southwestern Michigan with a student population of less than 1,400. The sketch group I founded on campus made our premiere the year before at a pep rally. The theme of the rally at this college, whose student body was nearly 90% white, was embracing diversity. The school did embrace diversity, to be fair. They didn't enroll diversity, but they embraced it. Our sketch was about an admissions advisor using and reusing photos of the same Mexican student to project the illusion of a rich Latin culture on campus. After the Embracing Diversity pep rally, a friend of mine told me he saw the dean of students squirm during our sketch. As I disapprove of the unethical treatment of animals, is it hypocritical for me to relish the unethical treatment of a dean of students? I don't think so, because no one was trying to eat her. A quick debriefing on my stance on meat eating. Animals eat animals. I believe that's the natural order, and I have no complaint about that in and of itself. However, the way animals raised for slaughter are treated is pretty sadistic, surgically valving cow stomachs and removing pigtails, etc. That's all of that sort of stuff from this story, so don't worry. Despite long holding these views, it wasn't until my sophomore year that I acted on them, when I started dating a devout vegetarian. Just like that, I was one too. Among other things I've done for a girl, trained for a marathon, took voice lessons, drastically increased my recreational marijuana intake, and watched Family Guy at night before bed. None of these had any staying power, least of all Family Guy, but vegetarianism stuck. For the 2 years I was a vegetarian, I pondered some hypocrisy of my beliefs and my diet, as the chicken that lays the eggs is subjected to the same conditions as the chicken you eat at Popeyes. At the end of my junior year, my girlfriend accepted an opportunity to study abroad in Strasbourg, in the Alsatian region of France on the border with Germany, for 6 months. Before she left, in some sort of faux romantic vow of obedience, I declared that I'd take the plunge I'd avoided for so long and go vegan, at least until she got back. For months, keeping vegan was not as difficult as I'd feared. Actually, it was downright manageable. I ate a lot of rice, pasta, spinach, and rubbery soy imitation meat patties from Morningstar Farms. And much respect to the meat alternatives, keep working on that formula, folks. We're not quite there yet. No torture was so great as when the pizzas arrived to the bonus room. There were times when my resolve faltered and I'd make a move to snatch up a slice, but a throng of my friends who had a curious vested interest in my diet would stop me. No, Ben, don't do it, stay strong. If I were to snack on some wheat thins, a friend would inevitably warn me that they might contain whey. I knew that, I read the box. I could still eat many snacks provided they weren't dusted with cheese powder. I could even get a 7-layer burrito at Taco Bell with no cheese or sour cream. It was very easy to maintain an unhealthy eating habit while maintaining technical veganism. There was one other vegan at my birthday party. My friend Ryan, who went vegan on study abroad in Japan, was my non-dairy guru. Ryan clued me into the fact that Papa John's made a vegan pizza. No cheese, just veggie, sauce, and crust. He let me know, too, that tub of garlic sludge that comes with every Papa John's pizza is also vegan. So are Oreos. Kind of makes you wonder what's in that if it's not dairy. One of the gigs my college sketch troupe had booked that year was a casino-themed show in conjunction with a campus event called Monte Carlo. In one of our sketches, a hopelessly unsuave James Bond is pitted against a villain in a poker game, but he doesn't know how to play, so he asks to play Crazy Eights instead. He orders butterscotch tapioca in lieu of his signature martini and forgets his cummerbund in the bathroom stall. I collared one of the actors, a freshman named Sam, who played the bathroom attendant, who brings Bond's cummerbund to him at the card table along with an enema he had also left in there, to ride along with me on a prop and costume run. After all, if he was going to head up the group after I graduated, he deserved to know how unfulfilling it would be. At the grocery store, with a cart containing nothing but poker chips and an enema, we ran into another local performer who no doubt had curious speculations on just how Sam and I would be spending the rest of the afternoon. She might have correctly guessed that our next stop would be to try on women's clothes at the Salvation Army, for we would both be playing prostitutes in the Monte Carlo show. I had one personal errand to run on the way back to campus. I pulled into the drive-thru ATM at National City Bank to deposit some checks from my roommates in order to cover a rent check I'd already written and handed over to our landlord. The transaction was about $1,500 going in and $1,500 coming out, with my checking account balance doubtless somewhere around $11. I prepared my checks in the proper envelope, and all the while, eager young Sam talked about who knows what, staring unblinkingly at the side of my head as though we were engaged in a two-way conversation. The ATM slurped up my checks, made a noise like a juicer with a spoon in it, displayed an error message, and returned my debit card to me. No receipt, no proof of the deposit, no checks. Visions of unreversible overdraft fees and bounced checks to diminishing my credit score clouded my vision with fury. In my memory, I became a giant red shirtless bug-eyed monster. I zipped through the parking lot up to the main entrance of the bank as the clock ticked to a couple minutes past 5. The bank was now closed, and it would be until Monday, but I would be in debtor's prison by then, having spent my last weekend as a free man producing a mediocre sketch show. I was having an emotional breakdown in my day woo, and I'm afraid it was not the only one poor Sam ever saw me have. Across the street, a beacon called to me, offered a warm red and yellow glow, promised sweet nepenthe for me to quaff from its ever-giving drive-through window. McDonald's, my former mistress. In that moment of weakness, I veered across the road and entered her drive-through. What do you want, Sam? I'm buying. My go-to back in the meat-eating days had always been a McDouble and a McChicken, which together I recently learned are colloquially known as a McGangbang. I ordered 2. The seal had been broken, Pandora's pantry blown open, and I'd gone from vegan to omnivore faster than a high school dropout could toss a frozen chicken patty under a heat lamp. I was embarrassed with myself. I didn't want to admit my failure to my friends who monitored my food intake like we were marooned on an island and they were in charge of rationing, and thus began a dark era of leading a double life. Publicly still a vegan, but secretly going out on midnight rendezvous, only to furtively creep into the rarely used side door of our house, the one that led straight to the basement, or to park under a burnt-out street lamp just off campus and eat them in my car before going to rehearsal. I could smell it on myself. I was basically having a lurid love affair with McDonald's, everything short of bringing my takeout to a motel. Like in many affairs, though, I got too comfortable, brazen even, and thus was my undoing. One morning, assuming no one was home, I walked through the front door of my house without putting my telltale red and yellow takeout bag into my backpack for safe transport into my bedroom for a bacchanal of illicit shame eating. My roommate, Alex, who should have been at class but was never one for following rules or for attending class, came out of the kitchen and stopped me in my path. Hey, McDonald's breakfast? Yeah. What did you get? Hash browns? No. Not French fries, it's too early. No. So what did you get? The jig was up. I was embarrassed as ever at my infraction against the food police, whose punishments were meted out not in years, but in humiliation. But not enough for me to lie to my friend's face about it or tell him it was none of his goddamn business. Steak, egg, and cheese bagel. He looked surprised, but he didn't come down on me with the sanctimonious tisking that I'd been fearing. He complimented me on having been diligent as long as I had, and added that it was more than he could have done. I realized how silly I'd been to fear judgment and vindictiveness from one of my own closest friends. The next year, I celebrated my first birthday as a college graduate in New York City with an organic cupcake and a hamburger made from grass-fed beef. Since my turbulent encounter with veganism, I've nurtured my interest in food ethics and gastronomy, and constantly honed my own personal dietary restrictions without subscribing to any one credo. Though Michael Pollan's eat food, not too much, mostly plants, comes pretty damn close. Thank you.